You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Good morning. I got a bunch of rambling ideas, thoughts, and going to try to share it in a semi-coherent way. Good morning to you. Um, Happy winter turning into slush, at least in the part of the world I'm living in. So looking at the news today and feeling like things are not making sense in so many ways. Randomly, not in any particular order. Here is headlines from what is this? The USA Today, January 30th, on Life section of the USA Today. Swift images show threat from AI will get bigger. So we got images of Taylor Swift being generated by AI, doing pornographic things, circulating on Twitter, getting out in the media. We've got AI generated George Carlin doing an audio special. Let's see. There's some other AI stuff that's impersonating people. They call it AI deep fakes, voice clones, and harmful digital human impersonations. So they are. So I don't know. What is my take on this? Hard to know what is real, right? What is true, and why are we allowing AI mind to be in our what am I trying to say? We're letting it be part of media news generation. It's helps people to do things, business things, look things up, and all this stuff. But why isn't it regulated? That's my question. We just a business develops these things, and then we go, oh shit, this is maybe causing us some trouble. What should we do about it? And the cat's out of the bag, the genie's out of the bottle. No one knows what to do with it. People are making money off of it. It's not stopped. I had this thought this morning. Maybe we need to come up with a new kingdom of life, the Silicon Kingdom. This kingdom that would include AI computing and the network and all that, because it is developing intelligence. It's developing, it has a mind. It's certainly smarter than us in many ways. It's able to synthesize and gather data and impersonate and look at broad swaths of data and come up with synthesizing things and specifics. It's not as good as we are at doing what makes us human yet, but that is only a matter of time, I suppose. But there is something that's special about us, and that is our creativity, our love, our connection, our connection with spirit, our connection with nature. And AI doesn't have that. It's artificial intelligence. So that's one thing in the news. Let's see. Here we go. Not in my backyard takes an exotic twist. That's a clever line. Oh, here's the second picture below the fold. Georgia town rallies against a 30,000 monkey breeding facility. A biomedical research industry says monkeys are essential for studying diseases and infections in humans and developing treatments. So, yeah, medical facilities are breeding monkeys and treating them like, um, less than human, less than um, respect of a intelligent life form. That makes me feel bad. Um, what else we got here? Here we go. This one here. 3 deaths highlight risk for U.S. troops. So the story is Middle East violence is increasing amid war. 3 U.S. troops and were killed, and more than 34 injured in a drone attack in the Middle East, who they suspect of being coming from radical Iran-backed militants in Iraq and Syria. So I don't know. We started it. We're using drones over there all the time to bomb their so-called terrorists and militants, and then when it gets used against us, um, somehow it's a uh, horrible thing. And why are they bombing us with drones? It's um, something that we need to respond to. Biden accused radical Iran-backed militants in Iraq and Syria of the attack, and he vows to swiftly respond. So, I mean, if you start something, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. I guess I don't know. I've always been opposed to drones. We're using computerized, probably AI technology to hover over places that we want to control, and then we target them and bomb them with missiles. I mean, what kind of a horrible thing is that? So we started it, or not me, but and not you, but contractors who work for the military. It's out of control. It's these militarized contractors that are making a lot of money and using these technologies, which are amazing, but they're using it to um, spread war and destruction and control. What else? Let's see here. What do we got? USA Today. Costs are steep in gray divorce. Divorce rates are up for Americans over 55. Travel advisory issued for the Bahamas. It is now dangerous to go to the Bahamas due to high levels of crime and murder. Well, that's unfortunate. That's sad to hear. Let's see. Okay, I got a Epoch Times in the mail recently, and I read through much of it. And let's see, what do we got? Here's one thing. Scientists counter narratives on CO2. The article, the first half of it talks in a sort of derisive way about the science of climate change and kind of making fun of it. And they have several people that they reference saying that climate change is pretty much a hoax, but then also admitting to it by saying things like, I suspect CO2 has a net benefit when you weigh the advantages of energy and carbon-based products compared with living without this energy or these products. I live in Africa, and I can assure you that without energy, life is brutal and short. The concentration of CO2 is increasing because humans use carbon in many ways to enhance living standards. The response of a climate system is gradual and, in my opinion, entirely manageable, considering the massive benefits to life it brings. Um, Following that, political versus science. Mr. Christie said climate science has become a failed science as the questioning of its claims is discouraged or even prevented. Let's see. She sees climate science as a climate agenda as a way for governments to gain total political control. Let's see. Anyway, lots of conflict, debate about climate science, climate change. I mean, I've been alive for 53 years now, and I will tell you the climate has changed. It's not raining, it's not snowing in the way it used to. It's warmer. I'm an arborist. I see trees dying a lot more. Everything's interrelated and complicated, but we're fighting each other instead of like looking at these things. It's not easy though. What else? 7 food additives banned in Europe but used in the US. Okay. Here we go. Statins. Overprescribed, underscrutinized. This is also from the Epoch Times. And newsflash, statins, once the most commonly prescribed and best-selling of drugs, have now are being questioned as to their benefits. And this long article says that basically maybe there's about a 1% benefit, but the statistics are manipulated to show that there is a great benefit. Virtually all major clinical trials were funded by manufacturers. Assessing the efficacy of the drug is more accurately interpreted by using absolute risk reduction, which is more like 1%. Okay, so it's interesting because the Epoch Times, which I think did a bit of a what would you call it, like a propaganda piece against the climate science, did a pretty good article on statins. So you can get news all over. We got to use our discernment. Let's see, what else we got here? Plastic. All right, let's see. So now everything comes packaged in things like this. And let's see here. So you take off you have to cut or tear the top section to get at the delicious pecans or whatever product it is. This is the standard MO. Package things in plastic pouches. The plastic pouches will go in the garbage in the landfill, and they have like a lifetime, if ever, of like 1,000 years hanging out in the landfill. You eat the food, and then the package will hang out for 1,000 years. And now we know so much about, we're starting to learn so much about the PFAS and various pollution that comes from plastic, microplastics. And then what about this stuff? This stuff, geez, these little things, they just will get dropped often and blown around and just spread everywhere. Yesterday I was doing a little repair on an electrical thing, and we wanted to put the electrical Romex in a conduit. Well, we found this pipe, and I needed to cut the pipe. You You cut the pipe with a hacksaw, all the little micro particles just go in the soil. I mean, what is the plan here, guys? Just contaminate our planet until and we're all getting cancer and we've killed all the animals and there's no nature left. What else we got here? Um, let's see. Oh yeah, I know this is disjointed. Not the best presentation today. Sorry about that. Let's see. I did have something to say. Oh shoot. Well, can't find my notes here, even though I had them right before. So basically, one thing I wanted to say is that for me, I think for a lot of us, the world is just not making sense anymore. And when that happens, we have to go back to a time where our lives or society, culture made sense, made more sense. And, when I was 2, 3 years old, I felt like the world made sense. I was with my mom and dad, and we did some traveling, and we lived at times in a rural community amongst people that fixed things and built things and gardened and had cared for each other's kids. And I felt secure in my being, and I felt connected to my parents and to the community there, and life made sense. Um, one of my sort of, for lack of a better word, gurus is Terence McKenna, and he talks about going back to a time where life made sense for the human species, and he talks about, I think he wrote a book called The Archaic Revival, and goes back to a time between 18,000 and 12,000 years ago. That's a long time back. So just in a nutshell, he talks about a time where people lived in bands, in small groups, and they would follow herds of animals, and they would live semi-nomadically, and they would have maybe monthly kind of gatherings, parties. They would take psychedelic mushrooms, and they would bring the people together. They would have music and orgiastic sex, and they would commune with nature. And it's interesting that he says that we are in a time where we are sort of kind of reprising that, and he references things like trance dancing, drumming, piercings, the use of psychedelic drugs, the interest in returning to nature, anti-authoritarianism, the desire for community and meaning. And I haven't read his book yet. I should, and I hope to soon. But when is a time that made sense to you? When is a time that made sense to our culture and our society? Looking back over the last 100 years, our country has almost always been at war and used a lot of our resources, if not the majority, at least of the government resources, for making armaments and propagandizing against our fellow humans in other parts of the world to make them our enemies, trying to divide us with differences of about color, or political parties, or who's red state, blue state, different different terms that we call each other. You know, whether you be a city person or a country person, you might be a hick country bumpkin or a city it. You might be out of touch. You might be um, I don't know, but it's a time of trying to come together now, where we got to go back to discover what are our first principles, what is important, what is working, what used to work that we could learn from and do again and bring back. Because for me, our culture is kind of falling apart and frayed. It's not really making much sense anymore. So trying to walk that razor's edge in my own life, in my own mind, and as a culture, we need somehow to reboot and uh, go back go back and come up with new ways of being and connecting and localizing. And anyway, my semi incoherent ramble. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a good day.